Now, for the past, I don't know, is it few months or years? I don't know if it's been years, but for the past few months, there's been a movement that has been growing. Cape Town independency typically means Cape Town is trying to leave South Africa. Now, everyone has their own opinion. Some of the opinion that I've heard is this Cape Town is trying to leave South Africa. They say it's because of unemployment or whatever. So actually, this is, I think this is one of the leaders, the advocate group. Look, I don't know, this is one of the leaders who are pushing this movement of trying to make Cape Town independent and separate from South Africa. I think on that's a stupid idea. Although I've never been to Cape Town, and I don't support that. Like, you know, the saying, my point is, I'm trying to put myself in a position where I live in Cape Town. I'm trying to separate myself from South Africa, right? I don't know what is their economical strategies, but I don't think it's gonna do well economically. You know what I'm saying? But let me just hear from the horse mouth, from the group leaders, what is it? And I want to hear their reasoning behind it, because I saw on the title they say it's because of the unemployment. But let's hear why Cape Town wants to leave South Africa. All right, the Cape Town Independence Advocate Group, Phil Craig, says Western Cape is battling 20% of unemployment rate, and further states South Africa. Again, further states that South Africa now has more racial laws than it did during apartheid. Now, there's been, before I watch this video, there's been two things that I really wanna read. I wanna get myself educated on. Right? I'll probably summarize it. Two things is the Land Appropriation Act that has been passed. Is it a month ago, a few weeks ago? I want to read that into detail. I've watched videos where they explain it. You know what I'm saying? And okay. And another thing I want to read is the claim that I'm not sure, but I've seen people bring it up about saying there's 141 racial laws in South Africa. I also want to read that. So, because I think that is like what I've understood from the Land Appropriation Act that's been passed, that people have been debating about Elon Musk and whatever, the United States cutting aid to South Africa, all this stuff. There's somebody that I've understood. It's not even racial. Like, it is. It's not as bad as people, as the media seems to be. It's not even bad. Like, it makes sense for the government. Like, it makes logical sense for the government. But let's just
to say so, and tellingly, none of them have, because we're not outside of our rights. We're perfectly entitled to go and do this in a democracy.
Okay, so I'm glad you realize that the comparison is quite flawed between what the ANC did during apartheid and what you're doing now. You've just mentioned now that you are facing chronic unemployment. What numbers do you have that we don't have? Because my understanding, having looked at Stats SA, is that unemployment is more rife among the black population and not among the white population. Even if I can take 50,000 white people in the Western Cape against 50,000 black people there, the numbers will tell that specific story. Do you want to share with us the numbers that demonstrate that chronic unemployment amongst white people in the Western Cape?
Well, look, so first of all, and I think this is a really good example of the problems in South Africa, you've instantly gone to black and white. This has got absolutely nothing to do with black and white. I'm talking about the Western Cape people. The Western Cape.
To be fair, there's some claims that they are trying to turn Cape Town into a white country. And I'm saying, the reason why I'm saying that is because this guy's response, I think, is quite good. Although I didn't watch the full interview, like he's saying, the interviewer is responding to the interviewer saying, this is not a black and white, it's not a black and white problem. It's just the people of Cape Town are unemployed. I don't know why that has to do with Cape Town being independent and Western Cape being independent, but that was a great response from Philip Craig. So I'll give it to him. He didn't bring up race. He just said unemployed. So I just want to give him that. Like, that is a good point. Like, I give him a point on that one.
People, the largest group are coloured, the second largest group are black, and the smallest group are white. So you're making the assumption that we're fighting for Cape independence for white people, but we absolutely aren't. I authored the Western Cape People's Bill, which very clearly talks about those three racial groups all collectively making up the Western Cape people as established in the Western Cape Constitution. And what do we have in the Western Cape? We've got an unemployment rate of 20%. Now that's half the rate in South Africa, and which is a feather in the cap of the Western Cape, but more than double the G20 average. So here.
They say the unemployment rate in South Africa, I think, is around 40%. He's saying that the whole 20% of the unemployment rate is in Western Cape. That claim, I don't know this that's on it, but I claim to be false. I don't think the math is math in there. Or maybe I understood him, I misunderstood him. But I don't believe that 20% of half of the country that's unemployed is in Western Cape. That's crazy. The math is not mathing. Unless if I misheard him, and I apologize for that if I misheard him.
Here we are in a situation where the Western Cape, 1 in 5 people at the Western Cape are needlessly unemployed as a result of government policy for a government that the people of the Western Cape have voted against for 30 years. This is surely understandable. And actually, why do we always have to go to race? That's exactly the issue. Isn't South Africa supposed to be a non-racial country? That is one of the things that we're fighting for. We want a non-racial country, and it's all right for the president to talk about, hang on a second, we want non-racialism, but actually we've got more race laws now than at any time during apartheid.
So, sorry, Craig, are you saying that the Western Cape has the highest levels of unemployment? The last I checked, we were looking at, I think, Eastern Cape, the Northwest. Is that the numbers that you have, that the Western Cape actually has the highest levels of unemployment?
No, that's not what I said at all. I said South Africa has got 40%, just over 40%, he's 41.6 at the expanded rate, and the Western Cape's at 20. What I said is that the Western Cape is half of South Africa's number because it's better governed, but it's double the average of G20. In other words, it's good, but it's better than the rest of South Africa, but it's still absolutely terrible by any international measure, and that's a result of national government economic policy. Okay,
so the Western Cape doesn't have chronic unemployment compared to other provinces in South Africa?
Well, it's got chronic unemployment. 20% absolutely is
compared to other provinces.
The other provinces are worse.
Exactly.
Hear me. It's got chronic unemployment.
Yeah. So, but when you say we've got chronic unemployment here,
they talk about misinformation. It's right there. They caught him on that one. Western Cape has chronic unemployment rate. This is why we need to make it independent. But compared to other provinces in South Africa, it's not even close. It's not even the one with the highest unemployment. So it kills this whole argument of saying, first of all, it's a stupid idea, but it's a very dumb idea or reason that he brought up of saying Western Cape needs to be independent. It needs to be its own country because of unemployment. That's dumb. Another two, they killed his whole argument of reasoning of saying chronic. It's misinformation. In short, it's just misinformation there.
Suggestion that you're making. So you do understand that there are other provinces actually that are suffering the highest levels of unemployment, so far worse than the Western Cape.
But what is the point you're trying to make, Clement? You're trying to suggest that we in the Western Cape should put up with 20% unemployment because actually it's worse in the rest of the country because there it's even worse governed than here. We want to be well governed. You know, Limpopo, with the best will in the world, elected the ANC. KZN elected.
Isn't Western Cape governed by DA? Isn't it has been the case for the past, I don't know, 15 years, 20, or the whole time? I don't know. I might be wrong on that one. But I think for the longest time I can remember, I don't know now, but for the longest time I can remember, Western Cape, it is governed by the DA. Aren't you supposed to blame the DA for that? I don't know. Honestly, if I'm wrong, fine. But I don't have the energy to open a new tab and then search. But I'm pretty sure I have a high chance that I'm correct that it is governed by the DA.
Now almost MK. The Eastern Cape elected the ANC. So if they're really badly governed because the national government is enacting terrible economic policy, at least they voted for it. Here in the Western Cape, we didn't. We didn't.
Well, I'm not suggesting that you have to put up with it. I'm just trying to correct what you're saying so that the viewers don't get the wrong message. When you are creating an impression that you're going to run to the US to engage Trump because you want Cape independence, and one of the issues you are dealing with is the chronic unemployment, the suggestion there is that it is that bad in the Western Cape that it requires another government to intervene. I want the viewers to understand that that's not the case. When you talk about chronic unemployment, that is not in comparison to other countries, to other provinces in the country. And that's similar to the point AfriForum was making about farm murders. Yes, there are farm murders, but the impression they're trying to create is that for some reason white people are under siege, when in fact when you look at the numbers, that is not the case. It's people who live in farms who get killed, who are victims of crime. So I want the viewers to get that. How are you going to move around the constitution here? Because this doesn't align with our democratic values. We are a democratic society that embraces a singular, non-racial society. So which part of the constitution, in your understanding, allows for such a cessation from South Africa?
Okay, well, first of all, let's just dispel some myths. We're not a non-racial country. We're a deeply racialized country. We've got 142 race laws. We have BEE, we have affirmative action, we have race quotas in sport. We absolutely are not a non-racial country. We're a deeply racialized country. So let's get that.
Yeah, but those laws are put in place to fix the apartheid that you guys started. Huh? It's so simple, bro. It's so simple. Like, the whole argument is this. The whole argument of this, and I'm gonna break it down so simple. Guys, let me show you. Let me break it down for you. So these are the two kids, right? This is me and you, right? I'm white, you're black. Apartheid time, they say we're racing. We're starting from here until here. We're racing until here, right? We're starting to race. I'm white, you're black. Their system put, when we are running, right? You have to go fall in a hole, or at least you're not allowed to start running at the same time with me. So I start running at 3, you started running at 0. So when you start doing a countdown, 5, 4, 3, I get to start running, right? And then they say 2, 1, 0, and then now apartheid ends. So when it gets to 0, apartheid ends, and they say, yeah, now apartheid is over, everyone has equal rights and equal opportunity. That means it's a fair game. To where? To the finish line. But it's not, because you got a head start, an unfair head start. You didn't get a head start because of preparation. You got unfair head start for not allowing your opponent to start running at the same time as you. So now they're making you stop. Okay, not even making you stop. You can continue running. They're just helping the person behind. Hey, get these shoes, get these shoes, get this transport, so they can catch up to you. But they don't want that. I think this is the basic analogy to explain how the apartheid government it is. There are 141 laws. I have to go through them, to be fair. I have to read them, right? But these laws and these things that are taking place are supposed to help this black child to catch up to you. You can continue running. No one is blocking you, and they're still continuing to run till this day. They're just helping this black child to catch up to you because you get an unfair. But now they're helping this black child. You are up here in the front. You are complaining about the black child. You're like, hey, no, you can't help him. You gotta help him. You're making it unfair because I'm running on my own. You guys are helping him, but forgetting that you started running way before. It's a simple analogy, bro.
Absolutely straight to start off. Now, you asked me where in the Constitution do we get this right from? Well, in a number of places. First and foremost, Section 235, the right of self-determination. The right of self-determination for the South African people as a whole does not preclude other groups. So there you could start. And you can also go to international law. The right of self-determination is a fundamental principle of international law, which South Africa has repeatedly sworn to uphold since 1994, and the ANC are outspoken supporters of self-determination for Palestine, for the Western Sahara. So the ANC support self-determination. The South African Constitution enables self-determination. So if the Western Cape people come along and say we'd like to enact our right to self-determination, what constitutional barrier exists to stop them?
I mean, if you're so confident that the Constitution allows for it,
that is the Palestine example that he used. That is so wrong, according to my best of knowledge, because he's emphasizing that because South Africa is picking up a Palestine to be its own country, whatever. But Palestine was there before Israel. So that example that he made is so terrible. As far as maybe I might be wrong, but as far as I understand the history of the North Africa up there, the Middle East. There was Palestine before Israel.
Why haven't you gone straight to the Constitutional Court to see that realized? Have you ever tried that?
But what would we go to the Constitutional Court for at this point in time? The first thing we need to do is have a referendum to determine the democratic will of the Western Cape people. The Constitutional Court has certified Section 235. I can talk you through the certification. It's a very significant note, but at this point it's irrelevant, because the first step in the process is to establish the democratic will of the Western Cape people, which should happen in a referendum, which the DA promised to call and then went back on their word, with the Constitution allows, and our first port of call is to try and force a referendum on Cape independence. And actually, that is probably the primary objective that we have going overseas, to raise funding to help us to work towards that referendum, and to see if we can get political pressure placed on the Western Cape government to call the referendum, because right now...
Damn. I don't even need to watch the whole clip. I guess I understand. I guess that's the video I wanted to make. Cape Town wants to... I don't know if it's Cape Town or Western Cape, but I guess one of them is living in South Africa. I don't think that's gonna happen, but we'll see, man. You never know.